All right, Shalom. First and foremost, all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kwadash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. I'm the brother Yawanathan, back with another quick lesson. Lord willing, is edifying. CDC reports third person infected in U.S. bird flu outbreak, this time with a new symptom. So that's what caught me, this time with a new symptom. And I remember doing a similar video like this back in December of 2019, right before the the C-19 outbreak or pandemic or whatever came about. And it was only the same thing. I think it was only 2 or 3 people that were infected. It was a guy in Wuhan, China, and I believe he took a plane, or he got in contact with another Chinaman that got on a plane to Japan. And then a guy in Japan ended up contracting it. And then from there, we see what happened. All right, that's why they called it the C-19 and not the C-20, because it started at the end or the December month of 2019. And now we here in 2024, where the WHO, all right, the World Health Organization, and the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, have warned the world and global leaders, world governments, that a next pandemic is coming, or should I say plandemic. All right, a next plandemic is coming, and it's going to be worse than the C-19 pandemic. So could this be it? We don't know. We'll have to just wait and see. All right, we're going to watch it and report on it as the Spirit, guides us. But, brothers have done lessons on it and brought it out, and it's all a bunch of BS. Not saying that these viruses and different bacteria and sicknesses don't actually exist, but they're obviously controlled. They're enhanced. All right, the so-called white man, which is the devil and Satan that the Bible speaks of, Esau, Edom, he has knowledge on how to make these diseases deadlier. If you don't believe me, just go look up the Black Plague and how the United States, they actually have a form of the Black Plague, and they work on it, all year round pretty much. They put a halt on it, I think, back in like 2020 or something like that. They've had put a halt on it, but then they resumed it, I think the next year or something like that. You could go look it up. It was a few years ago, but the Black Plague, they have a version of it where they said it's more deadlier than the original one. So they made it more deadlier. This is not conspiracy, none of that. They'll tell you that they've done this. They have diseases in laboratories and they edit it. All right, they customize it, they change it, and supposedly, to make better vaccines and stuff like that, etc. But we know what's going to come out of this. Eventually, there is going to be a global pestilence, all right? Not a global pestilence, but many pestilence, many plagues that's going to spread throughout the earth, and deadly, all right? Including this bird flu, because supposedly, according to this article, I'm going to read it real quick. It's a 3-minute read. But according to this article, they basically saying more than 50% of people who's contracted this bird flu have died from it. All right, so it does have a higher mortality rate than the coronavirus. Okay, it says another human case of bird flu linked to sick dairy cows, has been detected in Michigan, making the third farm worker diagnosed with the illness in the United States since March. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported Thursday none of the cases are connected. And that's what they basically trying to shine light on, is the fact that the reason why it's even called the bird flu and all of that, H1N1 or H151, whatever number it is that they gave it. But it's supposed to be something that's strictly from animals to humans. It's not supposed to be able to spread from human to human. But see, that's what they're so-called looking for. They're looking for, well, maybe this thing might mutate. Maybe it might, evolve or whatever. Or maybe there's another strain of it that we haven't discovered that is able to spread from human to human. And then that's when it will be a problem. And then that's when, obviously, it will be a global pandemic again, a global plandemic again. I could see that through the Spirit, because they need these type of unstable, scary kind of things to basically get people to go with their agendas, which is what? The New World Order, the microchip, etc. All right, because yeah, you best believe. I mean, we thought when the first pandemic happened, I thought they was gonna bring the chip in then. I thought it was gonna be the jab, and then right after the jab, the chip. But we see that things had to progress, as far as digital currencies and this new CBDC thing that everybody's talking about. That's still not in place yet. So that needs to be in place. You need a digital economy before the mark of the beast, the microchip implant, is mandatory, because that's going to be the new the world reserve currency is going to be on the chip. So that being said, we need these events to take place, and this prophecy is necessary. All right, this is a necessary evil that must come, and this is why we embrace these things like this. While people are all scared and afraid and don't know what's coming next. All right, we embracing stuff like this. I get excited when I see news like this. The latest case is different, however. Oh, I skipped the second paragraph. This is the second farm worker in Michigan in a week to be diagnosed with the illness. And a dairy worker in Texas was diagnosed in March. In those cases, the patient's only sign of illness was pink eye or conjunctivitis. So they had some extra eye boogers, and that was really it. All right, your eye itchy, and that's it. This latest case is different, however. That's good news because the patient also had upper respiratory symptoms, including sore throat, cough, and congestion. So what if that's not the bird flu then? What if that's something else? What if that's a mutated version of it? What if that's another strain of it? What if that's a lab created version of it? We don't know. All right, how the hell will we know? And they're claiming like they don't know. All right, so for them, it's just as much of a surprise for us what comes next for them, supposedly. I'm being sarcastic here, but Lord willing, I really do hope that this is the one. This is that disease X that they've been warning about, which X is just a variable, which basically means that disease could be anything. They're just putting X into place because they know without a shadow of a doubt there will be another pandemic. There will be another disease outbreak that's going to be worse and more deadlier than the C-19. So look forward to new lockdowns, man. Harsher lockdowns. And all these things coming back. During a media briefing Thursday, Dr. Nirav Shah, the CDC's principal deputy officer, said there's no indication yet that the virus, an A strain of influenza called H5N1, is spreading from person to person, although the risk does increase with respiratory symptoms. Simply put, someone who's coughing may be more likely to transmit the virus than someone who has had an eye infection like conjunctivitis. So they basing it off of that. Basically, it's harder for somebody to get pink eye off of you than for somebody to get a cough from you. All right, if you got a nasty cough and you're around somebody, more than likely they're going to get it, even if you coughing into your arm and basically trying to be as sanitary as you can. There's still a chance that person could contract it from the air, because once you coughing like that, you spreading all them germs and whatnot, all them viruses into the air, and people are breathing it in. All right, but they're saying since the other two cases only had pink eye, they weren't too worried. They weren't worried about it being able to spread from human to human. Okay, but now this could be a little bit more alarming, if you will. It says the CDC is performing genetic testing on samples of the virus that was taken from the patient to look for changes that would indicate whether it's mutating in ways that would allow it to be more transmissible. Those results could be available within days. So, they're definitely going to be putting out more articles and reports in the coming days and weeks about this thing. The latest patient also had an eye discomfort and watery eyes, but it was unclear whether the person had been diagnosed with pink eye. Like in the previous case, the patient was given Tamiflu and was reportedly recovering. Dr. Natasha Bagdasarian, chief medical executive of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, said that neither of the sickened Michigan workers had been wearing full personal protective equipment, or PPE, when they became infected. With the first case in Michigan, eye symptoms occurred after a direct splash of infected milk to the eye. I mean, this sounds like some straight up bullshit. With this case, respiratory symptoms occurred after direct exposure to an infected cow. PPE is an important tool in preventing spread. All of the farm workers at this latest Michigan dairy are being monitored for symptoms. The CDC recommended that anyone who comes into contact with a sick cow watch for symptoms for 10 days. As many as 67 herds in nine states, have been affected, according to the U.S. Agriculture Department. In addition to herds in Michigan, dairy cattle in Colorado, Kansas, Idaho, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, South Dakota, and Texas have also tested positive for bird flu. Given the extent of the spread of this virus in dairy cows, additional human cases in people with higher risk exposures would not be surprising. Okay, so don't be surprised, once again, if this thing starts spreading and, becomes what they would label as a super spreader disease or virus. I guess it's a flu, so it has to be a virus, right? Federal health officials said that the risk of bird flu to the general public remains low, and that their focus continues to be on the potential risk among dairy workers. We should remain alert, not be alarmed. All right, so it says here, this is an interesting part that I seen in the article too. The Department of Health and Human Services previously said that the government had started the fill and finish process of about 4.8 million doses of bird flu vaccines. That process is likely to last until later this summer, said David Butcher, the Director of Infectious Disease Preparedness at HHS Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response. So they pretty much are ready to issue out this new vaccine if in any case this thing does spread. Then 4.8 million, that's a lot. That's a lot of doses. So they wouldn't be doing this thing if it was just some type of false flag, or how you call it, boy that cries wolf. More than likely this thing is about to spread. We're gonna see another lockdown, man. I'm just saying, through the spirit. It's possible that it's not, but it's a high possibility that it is. At that point, the Food and Drug Administration would have to consider whether it is necessary to authorize such a vaccine. Butcher said it would premature to speculate on who might be first in line for the shots. This is the fourth case of H5N1 overall in the United States. An inmate in Colorado who had been working on a farm culling birds suspected to be infected with bird flu was diagnosed in 2022. His only symptom was fatigue. Globally, less than 1,000 cases of H5N1 in humans have been identified. CDC shows that more than half of those patients died, but that death rate may be an overestimate, as mild cases may go undetected, or it might be an underestimate. And when people really start contracting it through respiratory contagion, if you will, that's when we'll see the death rates start going up, or it'll just be a different variant or different mutation of it. You see, that could just bring about mass death. The CDC recommends that anyone in contact with dairy cattle, including bedding and animal feces, wear protective equipment, including safety glasses, waterproof aprons, and boots that can be sanitized. The agency also said that people should not drink unpasteurized raw milk. All right, so that's their only warning so far. That's what they've said about it. And now I'm gonna get some scriptures. The Lord spoke about these times, man, and we know exactly what time we're living in. We're not living in a time of fun and joy and happiness. We're living in a time where any day now, things like Elder Apostle Rakar always says, any day now, things could pop off, man. All hell could break loose. And it could be as simple as something like this, simple as something like a cyber attack, simple as something like an EMP, which can then cause that domino effect of other events. That's why they call it a black swan, because it's something that you don't really normally see, but then it triggers all type of other things, basically. That black swan, when you see it, it's like, whoa, I didn't expect to see that. All right, and then you're like, wow, and then you're in amazement of it. I'm talking about a literal black swan now, but that's why they call it a black swan event. Okay, because it's basically one single event that basically starts a list of other things, basically. It's something that's kind of unexpected, and then it just happens, and then boom, now we here, and and it will be domino effects of things, because look at what it says here, Matthew 24. And I'm going to start at 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, talking about who? Yahweh Shai. All right, when he was on the earth 2,000 years ago and his disciples were amongst him, they wanted to know things about the end. All right, they didn't really understand timeline of events, prophecies like that, because it wasn't that time. All right, now is the time. At the end it shall speak and not lie. It says, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? When you go into that word world, it's it's eon, not oikomen. There's 3 Greek words for the English word world in the Bible. Whenever you see the English word world, there's 3 different Greek words that have 3 different meanings. So you have to look these words up to know what it means in that particular verse. The end of the world doesn't mean the end of everything. It's the end of an eon, all right, which is an age, an unbroken age, perpetuity of time, all right, period of time and age. So they want to know what's the end of Esau's world, because that links with prophecy, all right, 2nd Esdras 6 and 9. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. What's that world? Once again, the end of what world? The end of this age. And the disciples, they wanted to know it too, because at that time the Edomites were in rulership, the Romans, so-called white people. They still are in rulership to this day. So we want to know the same thing. All right, we asking the same question, but we have the answer right here. And Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. So that's the first thing he said. He said, don't let a man deceive you. So meaning what? There will be lots of deception in these times. A lot of lies, a lot of deception, a lot of trickery. And it's mainly coming from who? The devil, Esau, Edom. All right, then you have 2/3 of Israelites, and including Hebrew Israelites that are so-called in the truth, that are still 2/3 false prophets. All right, for many shall come in my name saying, I am Yahweh Shai, or saying I am anointed, rather. That word Christ in the Greek is Christos, which means anointed. That's not actually the name of the Lord. He's anointed from the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, to be the only begotten Son. But you got people that in this time, they come and they say they anointed in Yahweh Shai or Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. They may or may not say the names, but they're claiming that they are men of God, or that the Most High is working with them and they are anointed, but they're deceiving. They're not speaking the truth according to the Holy Bible. They're not prophesying in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai according to truth. All right, they may be prophesying lies, or they, like I said, they may not even be telling you the names. They may not even be giving honor to those names who did basically ordain all these things that we're living and we're reading about and we're going to live through and we're prophesying about. All right, it was the Lord who done these things, man. He prophesied the end from the beginning. It's according to his will. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So again, these things, we're seeing these things, man. That's how we know we're close to the end. That's how we know we're living in the end. But the end itself is not here yet, because we're waiting for more prophecies. Just like the Lord just said, but the end is not yet. Why? Because we're waiting for the microchip. We're waiting for certain things to take place, man. The persecution of the men of the Lord. All right, all hell to break loose in society. Eventually, nuclear missiles are going to destroy America, and that's going to be the day of the Lord. All right, when the Lord Yahweh Shai saves his elect from that destruction. So this is not the end. You see in wars and rumors of outbreaks, disease outbreaks, and etc. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. So that's going into the race wars. That's going into the world war. All right, you got war on all levels. You got a gender war here in America with these damn transformers walking around the place, trying to take shit over. But the Lord said there's going to be these things and famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. So famines, you already see that. Food and water shortages all over the world. All right, droughts and things like that. Pestilences is our diseases, and you seeing that. We just came out of a so-called 3-year, whatever it was, 4-year pandemic. All right, and earthquakes, man. You're always seeing earthquakes all over the place. So these are signs, sure signs that, we basically know what's coming next, man. We don't know how soon it's going to come. Hopefully it's soon. Hopefully, and based on measuring the time diligently, it is going to be soon. All right, but we just can't tell you exactly when. We can't give you a time frame, just like the Lord Yahushua couldn't give the disciples a time frame. He said only the Father knows. All right, so it says all these are the beginning of sorrow. So this is going to be the beginning of the end, so to speak, the beginning of all hell breaking loose, man. And that's why we on our guard, on our watch, you know, waiting for any little sign and signal that shows that, hey, you know, what's coming next. What's coming next is another lockdown, all right, global financial collapse, potentially, hopefully, cyber attacks. I mean, they saying that it's not even a if, it's a when for the cyber attack. That's what Esau, the so-called white man, is saying. That's what the government and top officials are saying. It's not a matter of if, but when concerning the cyber attack. So all these things are coming, man. All these things are coming, and this is the end. All right, this is the end of the so-called white man's world, and it's going to go out by war and by violence, just as it was created, just as it came in. You see? So be on alert, man. You know, don't sleep as do others, like the scriptures say. We watching these things, and right now it may seem insignificant. Oh, 3 cases. Next thing you know, this could be the next lockdown, man. So that's all I'm saying through the spirit. Lord willing, you was edified.